Hello, in this short video, we'll explore a framework that you'll use in Information Systems and Technology project to explore and assess the impact of the projects that you're working on. And of course, ICT professionals have a responsibility to manage the quality of their projects. A quality project, of course, is one that will conform to the specifications, that will meet the needs of the stakeholders, and that will be fit for its intended purpose. We also have a broader responsibility to ensure that we appropriately manage and address ethical, privacy, and security considerations. This video will provide you with a framework for doing this on your projects this semester and going forward as an ICT professional into the workplace.
We'll begin by considering the ACS Code of Professional Conduct by which every member of the ACS agrees to abide. This code is used to inform professional conduct, particularly with respect to working in the public interest and for professional behavior. We'll explore the impact of ICT in the context of the triple bottom line. This is an accounting framework that considers the impact of a project based on societal, environmental, and economic dimensions. We'll also explore how this can be used to identify and mitigate against negative impact. This will involve planning and monitoring. It may potentially involve development activities to ensure that the project team is adequately prepared. As professionals, it's important to take responsibility and be accountable as an individual, a team, and as an organization for the impact of the projects we undertake. We'll discuss this in the context of your Information Systems and Technology project. The ACS Code of Professional Conduct says that as an ICT professional, you'll place the interests of the public above those of personal, business, or sectional interests. You'll strive to enhance the quality of life of those affected by your work. You'll be honest in your representation of skills, knowledge, services, and products. You'll work competently and diligently for your stakeholders. You'll enhance your own professional development and that of your staff. You'll strive to enhance the integrity of the ACS and the respect of its members for each other. To complete this module, it'll be necessary for you to read the ACS Code of Professional Conduct. There's a link to the ACS Code of Professional Conduct on the Blackboard site for this unit. As ICT professionals, it's common practice to develop a project charter that makes a business case for the project and considers potential risks before the project commences. The business case describes the benefits of undertaking the project as well as the implications of not proceeding with it. The terms benefit and business case both suggest describing the positive impact that a project will have. However, as professionals, it's also very important that we consider the potentially negative impact of a project and the means by which we'll mitigate against these to protect the interests of stakeholders. Such an analysis will consider the project impact based on ethical, safety, and privacy issues, as well as provide a means to monitor and improve a product or service's quality. In this unit, we'll consider this in the context of the triple bottom line, which has three dimensions. These are economic, environmental, and societal dimensions, sometimes referred to as the 3 Ps, or people, planet, and profit. In some instances, ICT has been credited as having a positive societal impact with respect to improving communication and collaboration, facilitating the democratic process, and providing access to news and information, as well as providing equity access to public resources. However, socioeconomic as well as age-related ICT considerations can lead to the so-called digital divide between those who have access to and use ICT and those who do not. Other potential negative societal impacts of ICT have been identified. For example, shopping online has been attributed to the decline of some local businesses. Children may have reduced levels of physical activity if they spend more time on the internet and less time outside playing. Others are concerned that children have shorter attention spans with limited focus, resulting from the intrinsic rewards associated with interrupt-driven interaction with mobile devices and applications. Similarly, positive impacts of ICT on the environment can be identified. For example, solutions to global warming may arise through computer-based simulation. ICT applications for use by homeowners and businesses can identify and promote energy alternatives, including the use of energy at non-peak hours. Paying your bills online has a lower carbon footprint than transmitting a bill through the post. Similarly, you no longer need a car to do your shopping. Instead of burning petrol in your car, you can now shop online. Similarly, e-learning means you no longer have to commute to university, but can study from home. E-learning also scales better than traditional learning in the sense that institutions don't have to build more buildings to educate more people. This means that more people can be educated with a lower carbon footprint. However, providers of IT products and services must consider the power consumption associated with providing those products and services and the associated carbon footprint. Environmental issues associated with so-called e-waste should also be considered. To mitigate against these often requires the optimization of ICT resources. This can include sleep mode rather than using screensavers, the use of server and desktop virtualization to limit the number of physical machines required, and planning for e-waste and recycling. A number of resources for further reading are included with this module. As we've discussed, online shopping can have an impact on the environment. However, it's more typically associated with having an economic impact. Online shopping can lead to reduced overhead and improved management of the supply chain. It can also lead to greater reach with an ability to do business with customers globally. Digital marketing enables this to be done very cost effectively. For example, targeted advertising can lead to more readily identifying the customers who want to buy your product or service, with greater conversions in which shoppers become buyers. Moreover, improved access to data provides for business intelligence and better business decisions. Let's consider a triple bottom line analysis of several applications with which you may be familiar. The first of these is Facebook. Facebook enables you to connect with friends and family through posts and messages. You can click the like button to indicate that something about a post caught your attention. Using Facebook, you can share items of interest. This includes both media and pages. Facebook plugins can access your social network to provide added value, as well as to facilitate games and entertainment. Your social network of people and interests can also be used for targeted advertising and for recommender systems. This plot shows a Facebook social network for a Facebook user. Each node represents friends of that Facebook user, with links between pairs of nodes showing friends that the two nodes have in common. The larger the node, the more friends that individual has in common with the Facebook user. In the diagram, you can see clusters of common friends. In this instance, clusters include a cluster containing family, a cluster containing colleagues from work, and a cluster of former classmates. There are also clusters for groups of so-called real-world friends. What can be inferred about you from your social network graph? For example, the large node in the center is connected to most of the other clusters in this example. Prior social network research has shown that this is likely to be the user's partner. The network structure makes it possible to infer this even if the user's relationship status has not been formally indicated by the user in Facebook. What can be inferred about your friends? For example, if you knew that the blue node was a family member, it's possible to infer that other members of the cluster containing the blue node are also family members. What can be inferred about you based on data about your friends? For example, if your friend likes a certain band, there's a certain probability that you'll like it too, since friends generally have things in common. On that basis, might it be reasonable for a music provider to target you for purchase of a song by that band that your friend likes? Similarly, if a bank considers one of your friends to be a credit risk, is it reasonable for that bank to consider you to be a credit risk too? Do deadbeats tend to hang out with other deadbeats, and do cashed-up yuppies tend to hang out with other cashed-up yuppies? See the Data Science of Facebook group for more interesting inferences that have been explored using data science. The next example we'll consider is Strava. Strava is an application for cyclists. It uses GPS to track position during a ride. Strava leads to data for the ride that includes speed, elevation, and calories burnt. Strava uses gamification in which a cyclist can track his or her personal best, compare data from their rides to the rides of others, and to see a leaderboard showing a list of cyclists completing similar journeys ranked by the speed with which they completed a given segment. A premium subscription service provides heat maps showing popular cycling routes, a personalized power analysis, and much more. Here you see data for a typical journey around the Swan River near Perth and Fremantle. The time taken on short named segments of this route is shown, along with a few personal bests. A cyclist can compare one ride to another and see the rides of their friends. This has the potential to lead to the development of a competitive community of friends, but one that is generally supportive of reaching health and fitness goals. Gamification can also lead to competition between strangers. For example, here is the leaderboard for one short segment along the bicycle path in the park opposite Henderson Island and the Causeway. Of the 8,960 Strava users who've ridden this segment, the fastest individual completed this segment in 31 seconds at a speed of 61.5 kilometers per hour at the time of this recording. At this point, please pause the recording and consider the positive and negative impact of Facebook and Strava from societal, environmental, and economic standpoints. The impact of Facebook and Strava that will be presented in this recording is not exhaustive. It's presented here to start you thinking about and discussing triple bottom line impact analyses of applications with which you're likely to be familiar. In reflecting on the Facebook or Strava triple bottom line, you may have come up with similar things, or you may have come up with things that are quite different. The important thing is that you take this opportunity to discuss this analysis with your project team and to explore deeper. So what are the societal impacts of Facebook? Positive impacts of Facebook from a societal standpoint are that it enables you to connect with family and friends, some of which you might not see on a regular basis. It also enables you to share items of interest. However, Facebook can lead to reduced privacy either through data that's been shared by the Facebook user, by others, or that's been inferred through data analysis. As we've discussed, some have expressed concern that social media in general has the potential to lead to reduced real-world interaction and shortened attention spans. From an environmental standpoint, it's very positive that Facebook has published data on its carbon footprint and is leading the industry with respect to green IT strategies in their data centers. You can read more about this in a link from the Blackboard site for this unit. On the downside, with ever-increasing Facebook usage comes the need for more data centers. From an economic standpoint, targeted advertising based on the social network of friends and likes is of value to online retailers. On the downside, some workplaces are concerned that people are spending more time at work on Facebook rather than working, leading to lost productivity in the workplace. Social media defamation cases are also finding their way into our courtrooms, adding to an already heavily loaded judicial system. The negative impacts that we've described aren't Facebook specific, and they're true for social media in general. You might like to pause the recording here and give some consideration to mitigating strategies that Facebook might choose to adopt to manage some of these negative impacts. Next, we'll consider the triple bottom line impact of Strava. This time, though, we'll discuss strategies to mitigate negative impact in a bit more detail. From a societal standpoint, gamification can encourage a healthy lifestyle. Cyclists can use heat maps to determine routes that are both popular and safe. In some sense, this leads to shared knowledge and the development of a sense of community. As with Facebook, however, Strava can be used to infer personal information from patterns in the data. For example, based on the time of day one rides and the start and stop locations, it may be possible to infer where the user lives and works. Strava mitigates this risk and protects their users' privacy by providing a feature in which data within a specified radius around designated points like one's home or workplace can be clipped from the display. This makes it impossible to identify the path taken within those protected zones. The leaderboard can tempt riders to ride at unsafe speeds, including in crowded parks or places where cyclists should typically slow down. Strava mitigates this risk by enabling unsafe segments to be flagged and removed. Strava may entice some competitive athletes to push just too hard. You and your project team should consider strategies by which Strava might mitigate against this particular issue. The environmental impact is pretty clear. Strava gets cyclists out of their cars and onto their bikes, and as such, Strava encourages burning calories, not petrol. What's the economic impact of Strava? If Strava encourages you to cycle instead of taking your car, you'll tend to spend less on petrol. There have been occasions when Strava users have been offered prizes and other incentives to cycle and reach their goals in conjunction with Strava's partners. Strava was called to defend itself in a lawsuit in which an accident resulted in the death of a cyclist involved in the leaderboard competition. It's also been suggested that the so-called king of the mountain at the top of the leaderboard may also have liability in such situations. There has been a call for this to be considered should Strava revise its terms and conditions of use. Given this, do you or your project team think that Strava terms and conditions should be revised such that Strava users agree that the leaderboard cyclists will not be held responsible in the event of an accident? As an ICT professional, you and your team have a responsibility to protect the interests of the public, and as stated in the ACS Code of Professional Conduct, to place these above personal, business, or sectional interests. As such, you have a responsibility to mitigate against the negative societal, environmental, and economic impacts of the work that you undertake. In particular, you have a responsibility to consider ethical, quality, safety, and privacy issues. Once issues are identified, you should strive to mitigate negative impact. You should consider how you manage both anticipated and unanticipated issues when they arise. What data will you collect, and who's responsible to assess and manage this? This can sometimes be tricky given that there are often competing interests among stakeholders. These stakeholders might include the creator of the ICT product or service, clients, vendors, and suppliers, and the ultimate user. An ICT Impact Statement template has been provided for you on the Blackboard site for this unit. This template will provide a formal framework for you and your project team to explore these issues on your project and forms an accessible component of this unit. The ICT Impact Statement template will also ask you to elaborate on the stakeholder requirements and the skills and knowledge needed to implement those requirements. What skills and knowledge are required by your project? Does your team possess the skills and knowledge needed to an appropriate level? Will you have to enhance existing skills or to develop new ones to complete this project? What about project management skills and knowledge, as well as professional skills and knowledge? Based on this analysis, your team's support manager will lead the team in developing a professional development strategy to ensure that your team has the right blend of skills and knowledge and to an appropriate depth. As an ICT professional, it's important to take responsibility and to be accountable for your work. Responsibility and accountability always starts with yourself, but also includes the responsibility and accountability of your team, as well as that of your organization. In working with your industry partner, remember that you represent Curtin, and you are Curtin's best. Finally, as an emerging information system or information technology professional, it's important to reflect on your responsibility for managing the societal, environmental, and economic ramifications of your work. It's also valued to reflect on this and the strong alignment to the ACS Code of Professional Conduct.
This semester in Information Systems and Technology Project, you'll use the ICT Impact Statement as a framework to guide your evaluation of the societal, environmental, and economic impacts of your project. You'll also use this to explore the stakeholder requirements and identify the knowledge and skills that you'll need to successfully implement your project. You'll use this also to develop a professional development plan to ensure that you and your team are adequately prepared to undertake this project. Before you attempt the quiz associated with this module, it's also important that you read the ACS Code of Professional Conduct, as there are questions that speak to this on the quiz.